Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves a jam-packed show, as we have a lot to get into, such as the Rams making a little bit of a splash signing as they signed Demarcus Robinson. Is this going to benefit them, or is this another dud trade like the Allen Robinson trade, or Allen Robinson signing? And LAFC sadly belly-flopped in the finals against Lyon. Unfortunately, they will have to settle for second, and they tied with DC United. Is this a little bit of trouble in paradise for LAFC, or can they bounce back? And the LA Galaxy suffered their first loss in the post-Chris Klein era as they lost to Real Salt Lake in the U.S. Open Cup. Can they turn the tide, or are they still going to be near the bottom of the barrel? And the Dodgers are kind of struggling as of late, as they're no longer the leaders of the NL West. Should we be concerned with them? And the Angels are starting to get it together a little bit, but is it a little too late? And can they keep up with the Rangers and the Astros? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 137 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let's get started. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio to providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow them on all social media platforms such as Twitter, TikTok, and on Instagram at IE Sports Radio. We also have Facebook for those that still use Facebook. All you just gotta do is type in the word IE, then sports, then radio in the search bar, and then just see our icon, like us, and then follow us, and then that's how you're able to like us and follow us on Facebook. We also have a website, www.iesportsradio.com, and when you go there, you will see a Patreon link at the top, and if you choose to do so, donations will start out at $5 a month. This will get you a shot from all of our shows, and higher tiers include all IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to IESRU, the podcasting university of IE Sports Radio, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment with Larry B. Because for the past 9 years and counting, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans and for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next biggest step. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised Apparel, Key to the Gate, Marcus Loscrate, and a donor that wishes to remain anonymous. With all that said and done, let us begin. As Larry B and Mike Chat are in the chat room, Larry says, go SoCal, but he says pretty much all the teams suck for the time being, except for LAFC, though they unfortunately wound up hitting they hit a brick wall against Lyon in the CONCACAF Finals. But it's all good. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but we have to go over the Rams just because football is king and everyone loves the NFL and whatnot. So the Rams on Thursday, they just recently signed Demarcus Robinson at a wide receiver. So this isn't a bad signing, and I did actually get a couple of feedback. I actually got a couple of feedback replies regarding this, and this, for one of the replies when it comes to Demarcus Robinson, came from one of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show's Twitter followers. His Twitter handle is @AC.GDB, or as he likes to be called, Soup. He's been on a 3 and out with the 8 divisions in 8 days, and I hope he's able to do so. But I hope he's able to do so again. But he says, it's a solid signing for us. We lack veterans anywhere on this team, and he's played meaningful snaps in big-time spots. Should be an easy wide receiver 3 with the ability to play wide receiver 2. So, first of all, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's a diehard Rams fan, even though he's a Chicago Bulls fan and a White Sox fan and whatnot. But he is a Rams fan, and he knows his stuff, and honestly, I take his word for it. And for those that don't know, Demarcus Robinson did originally come from the Kansas City Chiefs, and then last year he was on the Baltimore Ravens. So I really think that this is a good signing. And Larry B actually gave his input on this. He says he likes this, which I think it's a good signing. Now, for the Rams, they cannot treat Demarcus Robinson like they treated Allen Robinson. They just can't just sign him and then just say, oh, let's just keep throwing it to Cooper Kupp. No. They got to get every wide receiver involved. They have to get Demarcus Robinson involved. They have to get Van Jefferson involved. Van Jefferson is going to be the clear wide receiver 2 for the Rams. While Demarcus Robinson, here's the thing for Demarcus Robinson. Obviously, his big-time plays came from the Chiefs, but he had some meaningful moments with the Baltimore Ravens, as he caught 48 passes for 458 yards and 2 touchdowns with the Ravens, as he started in 5 games out of the 17 he played last season for Baltimore. Mike actually pops in the chat room. He says, Robinson is not bad. He's a number 3 or number 4 receiver, so if you rely on him for anything more than that, you're in trouble. LOL. Yeah, I think he's going to be a wide receiver 3. If he manages to challenge Van Jefferson for the wide receiver 2 spot, it's going to have to be because Jefferson is slacking, or he's injured, or heaven forbid, that's both of the cases. But I think he's a good wide receiver 3. I think he can be like a Josh Reynolds-like type of player. And it's either Demarcus Robinson's going to be the wide receiver 3, or it's going to be Tutu Atwell or Ben Skoranek. I think we all want, or not we, but I think Rams fans want Demarcus Robinson. And in Demarcus Robinson's entire career, he's had 193 career receptions for 2,137 yards and 16 touchdowns. So for Robinson, I really think he could be a great wide receiver 3, and heck, if he actually does play his cards right, then heaven knows he could be the wide receiver 2, but I think for us, I think for Rams fans, I think a wide receiver 3 is in the cards for him, unless, of course, Van Jefferson is like not suiting up or anything. But I'd rather take my chances with Robinson, who's about to enter his 8th year, as opposed to the inexperienced Ben Skoranek and Tutu Atwell. Now, Ben Skoranek's not bad, and Tutu Atwell can obviously play a kickoff returner, but I think you just want experience. And Mike says, but if Cooper Kupp is healthy, he is a great role player to operate around him. And he could be a good decoy for the Rams offense. And for Matthew Stafford, he needs all the receivers he can get. He obviously just can't go to Cooper Kupp every single time. He needs every receiver he can possibly get, and he needs to play everybody. Otherwise, it's just going to be a one-man show, and that's not the way to go when it comes to football. Like, you need all of an entire offense if you want to be successful. And I really think the Rams can be successful. Now, when their schedule first dropped, I was a little harsh, and I predicted early that they'd be 6-11. I feel if they play their cards right, if they stay healthy, if Matthew Stafford does not get destroyed when it comes to that offensive line, I think the Rams could realistically win more than 6 games. I think they can maybe even make a playoff push. because you honestly have to look at the NFC. The NFC is not as stacked as the AFC. The NFC is top-heavy with the Eagles and Niners ruling it with an iron fist. And then you've got, like, I was going to say you've got the Cowboys, but they're not going to win that. They can't win the division just because the Eagles are leading that division. Then you've got the very bad NFC South, which is going to have one team winning it between the Saints, the Bucks, the Panthers, and the Falcons. And then you've also got the NFC North, which, without the bad man himself, Aaron Rodgers, it's probably going to be between the Bears and the Lions. So, for the Rams, if they want to sneak in as a wild card, they could realistically win a playoff game if they get in as a wild card. But they just cannot be the third wild card. They just cannot be the 7th seed. Because if they're the 7th seed and they take on San Francisco, it's going to be a tragedy, if you ask me. But if they keep everyone healthy, then I think the Rams can possibly do damage. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be just like their Super Bowl form that they were 2 seasons ago, but I think the Rams do have some potential upside. It's going to be a rebuild, but I think they still have that talent. I think my only big question marks for them is kind of the running back. I think they just need a little bit of a reliable running back, which I think they maybe could have done through the draft, because look at what the Chiefs did with Isaiah Pacheco and whatnot. So that's just my little spiel on the Rams. I think they just got done with not OTAs, but I think with like meetings and practices and whatnot. So their little off-season / summer camp is kind of getting into the thick of it. So I think for the Rams, they do have upside. They're certainly going to be better than the Cardinals, that's for sure. So I kind of retract my 6-11 early statement. But as long as they have to stay healthy. If they can't stay healthy, then they're all but screwed when it comes to this season. Especially when you have to play the Niners twice. The Seahawks are still improved, even though everyone thought they were going to take a step back. And I'm pretty sure that they're not going to struggle with Arizona. If they can't beat Arizona, then I think McVay kind of needs to retire, and they need to blow up the entire team and start from square one. And Larry B says, poor Cardinals. Yeah, poor Cardinals. I think they're kind of the odd man out when it comes to being that team that's kind of the punching bag. But you never know. For the Rams' sake, they just can't be injured at Kingdom Come. Their offensive line has to basically be standing tall and talented. They have to protect Matthew Stafford to the best of their ability. Otherwise, he's going to get beaten up, and he's already up there in age. So, do they really want to trust Stetson Bennett if Matthew Stafford can somehow not go? No. They want to trust Matthew Stafford as much as they can. So, I think for the Rams, their uncertainty is, can they stay healthy and can they overcome being a little inexperienced? That's my big cause of concern. And when you're in the NFC, I think it's doable. Because, again, the NFC South is a complete mess. The NFC North still has some question marks in terms of who's going to be the King of the North, and can that King of the North actually win a playoff game? Because you remember last year, the Vikings won the NFC North, and they lost to the Giants. So I really think that the Rams, if they get into the playoffs as a 5 or 6, they could realistically win a playoff game if they play their cards right, which I'm definitely certain they can. But it's all about being healthy, and it's all about not letting those losses catch up to you. So, because to me, I think they have a few 50-50 games right here and there. But for me, I think it's going to be a time will tell tale for the Rams. But I think they have some good upside. And Larry B said it best, the Rams aren't too bad. I just think that they kind of get a little bit of a bad rap because of the god-awful season they had following their Super Bowl defense. Which, they made history in terms of being the worst defending Super Bowl champion. But honestly, it is what it is. Now they no longer have that pressure, and now they can pretty much shake. They're no longer the reigning champions, and now they can start back from square one. So we shall see. All right, so that is that for the Rams, and that was kind of the only big news when it came to the Rams and the Chargers. Now, the Chargers, they actually they didn't sign like a big-time wide receiver, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but Justin Herbert did get back into OTAs and back into practice in 7-on-7, and honestly, that's a good thing, just because he did have shoulder surgery, and it wasn't big. It wasn't bad, obviously, but I'm glad he's progressing well, and I'm glad he's back in practice, letting it rip. He even had a couple of deep balls he threw to Mike Williams. Well, not deep balls, but a couple of strikes that he threw to Mike Williams, and yeah, it was very nice. And we even got to see Easton Stick let it rip as well. So, yeah, Herbert threw in team drills and at OTAs, and it was good times for him. So for the Chargers, they were solid at OTAs and whatnot, and honestly, I hope they're able to basically continue their progress. They did sign wide receiver Darius Shepard, which was on June 1st, which was last Thursday. I did not talk about this last week just because I didn't bother really talking about the NFL, but they did sign wide receiver Darius Shepard. Now, they have enough wide receivers as is. They've got Keenan Allen, they've got Mike Williams, they've got Quentin Johnson, they've got Jalen Guyton, they've got a whole bunch of wide receivers, but I guess I should talk about Darius Shepard. Los Angeles Chargers signed wide receiver Darius Shepard. Since entering the NFL as an undrafted free agent in 2019, Shepard has appeared in 14 games and has hauled in 6 passes for 47 yards, all with the Green Bay Packers. He also spent time on the practice squads of the Arizona Cardinals, Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Denver Broncos. Yeah, unfortunately, if he tries to, he's going to have to challenge his way to get some playing time. But he's going to be there just in case, heaven forbid, the Chargers suffer an injury. But all in all, they signed Darius Shepard, and I guess he also played in the XFL as well. So, yeah, that's kind of your only big-time news when it comes to the Chargers. The signing of Darius Shepard. And then also Justin Herbert is back at practice at OTAs following his shoulder surgery. And there you have it with the Chargers. And I saw Quentin Johnson catching a good amount of throws from Justin Herbert, and he looked really good. I think Quentin Johnson is going to be a great wide receiver, and whether the Chargers have to part with Keenan Allen or not, then here's the thing. If the Chargers have to part with Keenan Allen, then that'll probably move Mike Williams up into the wide receiver 1 and then Quentin Johnson to the wide receiver 2. But if they want to keep Keenan Allen as wide receiver 1 and then Mike Williams as wide receiver 2 and then Quentin Johnson as wide receiver 3, that's going to be a deadly wide receiver room right there. And then Jalen Guyton can be a great slot receiver as well. And you've also got Darius Davis, who was great, who was quite the speedster. Heck, I don't know if he'll play kickoff return, but if he can get onto the field, and he shows off that speed, bye-bye. Because if you've seen some of his highlights, the dude has a lot of good yards after catch. So I really am confident that the Chargers can get it together. But the thing about the Chargers is that they're so tough to predict. I have them going 11-6, which it's kind of realistic, but at the same time that could be a little too generous. Some have them going worse than 500. Adam Rank of the NFL, the dude that likes to predict a whole lot, he actually has them going 9-8 and finishing tied for second in the NFC West, which now I understand the Chargers have a pretty tough schedule, But some of the losses that he has are kind of mind-boggling. He has them losing to the Jets. He has them losing to the Packers, of all teams. He has one loss to the Raiders, which I kind of understand. He has one loss at Denver, which is very understandable. One loss against the Chiefs in Los Angeles, which I also predicted as well. He has the loss to the Patriots, which I also predicted as well. Yeah, I think he has the Chargers losing to the Dolphins, which I disagree. I think the Chargers beat the Dolphins in Week 1, and I hope they do, but that's going to be for post-Week 1. And hopefully it does go the Chargers' way, so if it does, then I could tell y'all why that is. But I'm going to save that for this season. But overall for the Chargers, I hope they're able to get it together because obviously everyone is still has the 27-0 lead fresh in their minds, and God, I hate that they blew that lead. It's almost as worse as the 28-3, except that was in the Super Bowl and whatnot. So, you know you're a Chargers fan when you're never confident in a big lead. But anyway, for the Chargers, that's pretty much that for them, unless they get some big-time signings and whatnot. And overall, that's pretty much that for the NFL, and I probably won't be talking about NFL unless there's some big-time signing, or big-time trade, or big-time anything that happens, or big-time news. But that's that for the NFL. For the college recruiting scene, when it comes to like USC, SDSU, or UCLA, I'm just going to say this. USC is killing the recruiting game. They are signing a lot of like 4-star, 5-star athletes. I've already lost track of who's committed to them and whatnot. And man, every time I see the whole fight on peace sign, it's like another one is basically coming to USC. And heck, Nick Saban is right. Lincoln Riley is killing the recruiting game. And that's I cannot believe they are actually doing it big. Now, there is actually big-time news for USC and for UCLA, just because for USC and for UCLA, you got to remember, this is their last year in the Pac-12, as the following year, they're moving on to the Big Ten, which I'm still going to need to get a whole lot of used to seeing. So the Big Ten opponents for 2024 and 2025 for UCLA and USC. Let's start off with UCLA just because they're UCLA and they kind of finished worse off than USC. No offense, of course, but if we're going from bottom to top, then we got to go from UCLA to USC. So the 2024 home games in terms of the Big Ten opponents. So the 2024 home games involving Big Ten opponents for UCLA will be Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, and USC. And then for the away games, UCLA will have Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, and Rutgers. So that's all of UCLA's Big Ten opponents for next season. I can't believe it. This is really happening for UCLA and USC. And lucky for Caleb Williams, this is his last year before he's eligible to... I think this is his last year in general, because after this year, he's going to the NFL draft, and I think he's a senior regardless. But either way, Caleb Williams is entering his final season with USC, and I really want him to get that national championship. I really want to see USC actually come out on top, because they could have made it to the college football playoff, but a team named Utah kind of tripped them up. Unfortunately. Alright, now for UCLA's 2025 home games. So, in terms of the Big Ten. So, the 2025 home games in terms of the Big Ten will be Maryland, Purdue, Rutgers, and Wisconsin, while their away games will be Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, and USC. So those are all of UCLA's home and away games in the Big Ten in 2024 and 2025. Now for USC. Their 2024 home games in terms of the Big Ten will be Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Michigan versus SC in the Coliseum is going to be electric. I already am giddy with excitement, and I can't wait to see that matchup. Wisconsin should also be a good little matchup for USC as well. As for the away games, UCLA in 2024 against the Big Ten will be playing Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, and UCLA. The UCLA one was kind of a dead giveaway just because UCLA was going to be hosting USC in their home games. And then for USC's 2025 home games involving the Big Ten, that will be Indiana, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, and UCLA. And then the 2025 away games in terms of the Big Ten will be Minnesota, Ohio State, Rutgers, and Wisconsin. So those are USC's 2024 and 2025 home and away games in terms of the Big Ten. And it's really happening. I really can't believe this. And some of my friends are saying that the Pac-12 is dead in terms of like sports. I'm really going to have to get used to seeing a whole lot of these conference changes because Texas and Oklahoma are eventually going to the SEC. And that's going to change the landscape of the Big 12 because you saw Oklahoma winning the national championship in softball, and then Texas won the national championship in women's volleyball. Who knows what's going to happen with the Big 12, and heaven knows who's going to be dominating that conference then. I already really have to start getting used to seeing BYU in the Big 12, but that's besides the point. The point is I'm really going to have to start getting used to seeing some of these unorthodox teams in other conferences. So, but for UCLA and USC, I'm already shivering with excitement for them being in the Big Ten. And man, this is going to be electric. And I think that's kind of the best thing for UCLA and USC, just because if they want to be relevant, they got to go where the true money is. I mean, the Pac-12 isn't bad, but nobody likes the Pac-12, and it's West Coast, and it's obviously East Coast bias and whatnot. So we'll see what happens, but overall for UCLA and USC, it's going to take a lot of getting used to when it comes to seeing the Trojans and the Bruins in the Big Ten. Not just in football, but in other sports as well. Like, man, seeing them in, like, basketball, that's going to be crazy. Seeing them in volleyball for when I do set point, going to be even crazier. I could already see Galen and Pauley Pavilion just filling up on a nightly basis. But that's besides the point. And then you might as well just bring San Diego State to the Pac-12 if UCLA and USC are officially leaving. Like, give San Diego State some spotlight, just because, well, they kind of carried the... Well, but then again, are they really going to stand a chance in some of the other sports? Like, are they really going to stand a chance against the true competitors in football when they just got their butts kicked against Arizona and Utah? No. Are they really going to keep up with the Joneses in terms of men's basketball? Probably not. Even though San Diego State men's basketball does have a great program. I mean, we just saw them go to the national championship, so sure. But who knows? But you also have to factor in other sports as well. Like, can San Diego State be really good in, like, women's soccer and women's volleyball and whatnot? And baseball and softball, it still remains to be seen. I mean, USC doesn't even have softball. Wah, wah. Anyway, that's going to do it for, like, college potpourri. I was talking about college football, and then I just talked about everything college. Oops. Anyway, so let's jump on over to some soccer. Let's jump to some MLS and LAFC. Larry B pops in the chat room. He says, I want to see SDSU be good in other sports. I do too. I think San Diego State being good at football is cool and all, and being good at men's basketball is really cool and all, but I want to see them being good at like other sports as well. I think that would be really good for the Aztecs in their program. They would draw a lot of recruits, and then eventually the Mountain West would say, we don't want San Diego State in our conference. Get them out of here. Just like Stephen A. Smith one time kicked out a Dallas Cowboys fan and whatnot. But anyway, I would like to see the Mountain West eventually kick the San Diego State out of the conference and then kick them into the Pac-12. I think everyone wants to see San Diego State in the Pac-12. I feel that they bring a nice little ticket and they bring some Southern California soul to it. Because once USC and UCLA leave the Pac-12, there will be no more SoCal teams. It'll just be the only California teams that will be in the whatchamacallit, in the Pac-12 will be Cal and Stanford, and they're both from NorCal. So there's that. All right, but to LAFC. So LAFC unfortunately lost in the CONCACAF Finals. They lost, as I mentioned the previous episode, they lost 2-1 in the first leg. And then last Sunday, they lost to Lyon in the second leg, 1-0. Altogether, they lost 3-1 in terms of the entire thing. They lost, in terms of the, I can't even pronounce this word, aggregate. Is that how it's pronounced? Aggregate? Either way, Lyon wins the entire shebang 3-1. They win the whole leg / series 3-1. And they win the CONCACAF tournament. So, unfortunately for LAFC, they do not win the CONCACAF tournament, and they'll have to wait on being CONCACAF champions for another year. But they did get back into MLS action on Wednesday against Atlanta United as they tied with Atlanta 0-0, which, yikes. It must have, I mean, it's a quick turnaround. Obviously, you have to, shuffle your mindset from a tough loss in the CONCACAF Finals in front of your home crowd to playing back into MLS play. So obviously, maybe there was a little bit of a letdown. But as for tonight, they're playing Houston in Houston, and LAFC is getting beaten 2-0. Uh-oh. So I kind of wonder, is LAFC in a little bit of trouble in paradise after this whole CONCACAF loss? Are they suffering a CONCACAF hangover? That better not be the case, just because I know it's tough losing in the CONCACAF Finals and whatnot, and they obviously wanted to win, but there comes a point in time where you have to just let go of the loss, and you have to just basically move on from it and say, we lost the CONCACAF Finals, now we got to defend our MLS crown. And now the MLS matches are what truly matter. And even like I said last week, even if LAFC had won the CONCACAF Finals, that would have been an added bonus to them. It wouldn't have meant anything for the MLS. They just would have been hanging up another banner, and then everyone would have probably been respecting them a little bit more, or maybe not, just because I want to say LAFC is probably the most hated team in the MLS. To an extent. Considering they had such a super team last year, I think everyone does not want to see LAFC win anything. Any tournament, any cup, any trophy, anytime, any place. So, yeah, it's not looking... Oh, my goodness. And now LAFC's down 3-0 to Houston. Oh, my goodness. As Houston just scored again, as Corey Baird just scored as 3-0. Oh my God. Yeah, LAFC is kind of in a CONCACAF hangover, so I think we could all chalk this one up as a loss for LAFC. So the two teams actually meet again on Wednesday, but this time it'll be at the BMO Stadium. which I still think it should be called Bank of California Stadium. Just my opinion. But as we all know, when it came to Real Salt Lake and the LA Galaxy, it's tough to beat a team pretty much in the same week. I wouldn't say in the same week, but in the span of like a 7-week or less span. So for LAFC, I think they're going to take their lumps on the head when it comes to the Houston Dynamo. But I think they'll be back in terms of this next match. The only thing I could possibly say that could probably slow them down is that they could have some players out due to injury. But, man, 3-0 tonight? Yeah, LAFC kind of needs a little bit of a reset. They need like a few days off to like clear their minds, get this whole CONCACAF loss out of their heads, and just basically reset their whole thing. Because I know Atlanta's good. They're 5th in the Eastern Conference, but to tie on your home floor or on your home field, that has not happened, as Atlanta's actually one of 2 teams to basically take a point off the home field of LAFC. The other was Sporting KC, who is god-awful. But for LAFC, they really need to hit the reset button. They need to clear their mind, and they just need to basically get over this CONCACAF hangover, or they won't be amongst some of the top teams in the Western Conference. Currently, they are 3rd in the Western Conference, but you also have to remember, they have played only 13 matches. Of all the teams in the MLS, they have played the fewest amount, and that's probably because they have played in the CONCACAF tournament, and they've had to postpone matches and shuffle around their schedule with all these MLS teams. So, yeah, that's kind of the reason why they're playing the Dynamo again on this upcoming Wednesday at BMO Stadium. So for LAFC, it's going to have to be a little bit of a get back on track process. Just because Houston is near the bottom of the Western Conference. And the fact that they're getting drubbed by them, it has to be a CONCACAF hangover. So LAFC better reset themselves on Wednesday. Next Saturday, they'll be hitting the road to Patrick Mahomes land, aka Sporting KC. And then after that, on the 21st of June, LAFC will be hosting Seattle, which that's going to be a complete barn burner right there. And LAFC is going to need to play their best. And then closing out the month of June, LAFC will host Vancouver. Vancouver is kind of in playoff contention, because if the playoffs start today, surprisingly enough, that would actually be who LAFC would be playing. So that's interesting if you ask me. So we'll see what happens with LAFC, but for right now, they just have to get over this whole CONCACAF hangover, and then they'll be good. The LA Galaxy also suffered a tournament loss this past week, as this past Wednesday they lost in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup 3-2 to Real Salt Lake. This was played in Sandy, Utah. So, again, last week I got the MLS match mixed up with the U.S. Open match, the U.S. Open Cup match. So the Real Salt Lake advances to the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup tournament, while the LA Galaxy are pretty much done. They're done with tournaments, and they can now focus on everything MLS related to see how they're going to get back into playoff contention, because they're still the worst team in the Western Conference, and they're probably the worst team in the entire league, as they've only won a whopping 3 matches and they've lost 9 altogether. I mean, maybe Inter Miami is bad because they're 5-0-11, but God, the Galaxy are just so terrible. And what's worse is the Galaxy hit the road to the Lou, aka St. Louis, as they play them tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, as St. Louis City SC is actually first in the Western Conference. So, big OUCH right there for the Galaxy. That's probably going to be a loss right there, unfortunately. And then, thankfully for the Galaxy, they get a bit of a hiatus off. They get a big break for them to reset and refocus on everything. Their next match won't be until Wednesday, June 21st, when they host Sporting KC, and then they close out the month of June when they hit the road to the Rocky Mountains to take on the Colorado Rapids. Believe it or not, remember when I made fun of the Colorado Rapids? Well, they actually tied with San Jose of all teams. Oh, that draw actually snapped what was probably a long losing streak for the Rapids. So, yeah. That Rapids-Galaxy matchup is going to be the battle of the two very bad teams because both the Rapids and the Galaxy are both at the bottom of the Western Conference. And yuck. Absolute yuck right there. That should be played on the Hallmark Channel, in my honest opinion. Just my honest opinion. But I will also eat my crow just because, well, I said I was going to predict a Galaxy win. I said on Twitter I'm predicting a Galaxy win against Real Salt Lake. But little did I know this was the Galaxy of this year, not the Galaxy of last year. And the Galaxy of this year are not going to win twice in a second time in the span of 1 week, especially on the road. That's not going to happen. The Galaxy are just bad. Even though they got rid of Chris Klein, even though that guy is sent packing, the Galaxy are still bad. And I really want them to actually be good again. But they've taken the baby steps on being good. However, this might be a little too late. But heaven knows what's going to happen heaven knows what's going to happen the rest of the season. Right now, for the Galaxy, it's all about trying to play for pride. And eventually, if they play for pride and they play well enough, they could climb their way back into a playoff spot. But that's a big if, just because everyone else is better than you, including Colorado, who only has won 2 matches. 2. And you've won 3, which, big yuck right there. Anyway, so that is that for the LA Galaxy. It's kind of depressing when I have to talk about them, honestly. But, hey, better times ahead, especially when Chris Klein is gone. Or since Chris Klein is gone. Alright, let's talk about some NWSL action, just because what's their face? Wave FC and Angel City FC are still going strong. So Angel City, they actually played yesterday against Louisville. Well, actually, they played Sunday against Gotham, or New York/New Jersey FC, and they actually won 1-0, and it was courtesy of Mackenzie Doniak, who scored in the first minute of the second half. So for San Diego to register a big win like that is quite impressive. And today they actually played Louisville, or actually yesterday they played Louisville at Louisville, and they actually tied 0-0. However, they've actually recorded 4 shutouts in their past 4 road games. So that's very impressive by Wave FC to shut out their past 4 opponents. And some of these road opponents are really good. Like Gotham was the best team in the league, and for Wave FC to shut them out, that's pretty darn good. And for Wave FC to also shut out Houston on the road, pretty good. And I know Kansas City isn't up to snuff like they were in the past, but to shut them out too, that's also good. As a result of Wave FC's success, they are now the best team in the NWSL, which is very good. They have 6 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses, and honestly, that's pretty good. That win over New Jersey/New York, aka Gotham, is very impressive. For them to win on the road like that against the former best team in the NWSL is a statement win right there. And it shows that Wave FC still has it in them, even though they don't really have some of their big dog players like Alex Morgan and whatnot. Oh, no, they do have Alex Morgan. She just came back from wherever she was, from probably her, international play and whatnot. So, Wave FC is back in action next Saturday when they actually host Angel City. So, they've had a lot of success on the road. Now can they actually put it together at home at Snapdragon Stadium? That is going to be the big question. And then the week after that, the Wave FC hosts OL Reign. And then after that, in group stage play on Wednesday, June 28th, to close out the month of June, Wave FC hits the road to BMO Stadium to play Angel City. And that's a perfect segue to go into Angel City. And this has not been easy for Angel City. They continue to sustain so many slings and arrows in terms of injuries. And I feel so horrible for them. So today, they recently played the Washington Spirit, and they wound up losing 2-1. As Ashley Hatch and Ashley Sanchez scored in the 33rd and 41st minute for Washington, while Mary Vignola scored 2 minutes in extra time for Angel City. But after that, nobody got any other goals. But I will give credit to Angel City's goalie. She definitely was a wall for Angel City, and I think that Angel City, the problem is with them is that they're just so banged up. And then this past Monday, Angel City lost at home to the Chicago Red Stars 2-1, as Ava Cook torched them in the first half by scoring in the 16th and 27th minute. I will give credit to the one that did prevent Angel City from getting shut out, as Sydney LaRoe scored in the 88th minute, and she actually just came back from ankle surgery. So the fact that she just came back and she scored is quite amazing. So good job to Sydney LaRoe. She actually gets the first Big W award of the show, just because coming back from ankle surgery and scoring in your first game back is so amazing. And that's not anywhere easy, especially when you know you could risk re-injuring yourself. But LaRoe buried that goal. It went off the goalie and into the goal. And, man, that was a big-time goal for Sydney LaRoe. So, great job to her. Unfortunately, Angel City fell short, as, like I said, their next matchup will be against Wave FC this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego. For Angel City, they have nothing to lose. This is basically a rivalry match. They have nothing to play for except for pride. They've lost 4 in a row. So for Wave FC, they're kind of playing. They have more to lose than Angel City. Angel City is playing for the bottom of the NWSL with Kansas City. And then for Angel City, following that matchup, they play on June 25th, a Sunday, at home against the Houston Dash. And then, like I said earlier, Angel City, just like Wave FC, closes out the month of June in group stage play in the NWSL Cup against Wave FC. So for Angel City, they could really use some of their big-time players back right now, and they could really use some players who are on the injured list right now, just because I really think they're a much better team when they're not having to play like young players like Alyssa Thompson, who is only 18. And she is actually the only 18-year-old on the team. She's the only player that's not 20 or older, which is mind-boggling if you ask me. So for Angel City FC, that's when you know they're straight up struggling, and they really need their big time players. They really need their big time players back from injury. So we'll see what happens with Angel City, but for right now, it's kind of looking like they're heading toward no playoffs. But there will be brighter days ahead for Angel City. Sometimes it just happens. I mean, look at what happened with the Rams. They had a plethora of injuries when it came to their season, and now Angel City has to realize what that feels like. But there will be better times ahead for Angel City. All right, that is going to do it for some NWSL action. We will take ourselves a quick little break. When we come back, we've got some MLB action, and then we'll have probably the Dum Dum of the Week and maybe some other Big W awards, and we'll probably just recap Cal State Fullerton losing in the regionals as their NCAA tournament run in baseball has officially gone bye-bye. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right. Welcome to AZ Sports Daily. I'm your host, Kiernan Daly, bringing the heat to Arizona sports. There's no discrimination here. We're going to talk about every sports team, professional and college. The show is all about you, the listener. I'm here to entertain you. Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here? It's going to be fun, high energy. You may not agree with what I say. That's okay. Let me hear you. Let's talk about it. Join me every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on AZ Sports Daily. That's AZ Sports, Daily, and at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
And welcome back to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely do check out some of our shows. Some of our shows are brand spanking new, and they are definitely worth listening to, such as Arizona Sports Daily with Kieran Daly. He did an excellent job in his debut show this past Wednesday. Our Bleepin' City with Mikey Two Guns, a.k.a. Mike C, is definitely on and poppin'. Big Chief Sports is definitely a great show, which talks about Wisconsin sports with Bernie Bango on the mic. And obviously we have Carolina Cast, which is 3/4 of the way to 100 episodes. As, yeah, you definitely want to check that out every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And Big Cheese Sports will be going on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central time. So definitely do check out all of our amazing shows. But let's get it back into the second half of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Also got to give a shout to Patty Bax, as she was listening as well. She actually brought up something that I forgot to bring up. Former Rams defensive player Leonard Floyd actually got picked up and signed by the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah. But Leonard Floyd now reunites with Von Miller, and now that Buffalo Bills defense is going to be scary. And guess who plays the Buffalo Bills in Week 16? The Chargers. Oh boy. That's going to be on national TV, on Peacock. That could be for a playoff spot, mind you. I guess I should also go back to Adam Rank's predictions. He actually has the Buffalo Bills going 9-8. That is very harsh, if you ask me. Now, I don't know what everyone thinks of Adam Rank as a person, but I think he's a really cool guy. I just think sometimes his predictions could be a little bit out there. This is the same guy that predicted the San Francisco 49ers to go 3-14 back in 2019-2020, and that's the same Niners team that wound up going to the Super Bowl. And I did meet him in a virtual Zoom conference for like sports writers and sportscasters. He's a really cool guy, and he said to this day he still gets emails from Niners fans with like clown emojis and whatnot. And then even Chiefs fans have gotten in on the action after he predicted the Chiefs going 10-7 last year and missing the playoffs. Big ouch right there. But Adam Rank's a cool guy. I mean, some people have their opinions, but I think Adam Rank, the person, is a really cool guy. Adam Rank, the NFL predictor, I have mixed feelings about him, but time will tell. All right, now let's get back into the Southern California sports action. Let's jump to some MLB, as the Angels and Mariners are getting underway. So last night, the Angels managed to beat the Mariners 5-4 in dramatic action. We're actually going to start with the Angels as opposed to starting with the Dodgers. So their last series, dating back to last episode, the Angels dropped 3 out of 4 to the Houston Astros. As last Thursday, we all knew that they lost 5-2. Last Friday, they lost 6-2 to the Astros. Last Saturday, they lost 9-6 to the Astros. And then this past Sunday, they salvaged a win in the 4-game series. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. It was a false alarm sneeze. Gosh dang it, nose. Anyway, so the Angels won 2-1 this past Sunday. And they got Monday off to get back to Angels Stadium. And thankfully, they just needed a little bit of home cooking as they swept the Chicago Cubs Fly the L. That's all I have to say. I'm such a horrible person for saying that. Anyway, so the Angels beat the Cubs 7-4 on Tuesday, and then they beat the Cubs 6-2 on Wednesday. And then Thursday they beat the Cubs 3-1, which, I mean, the Cubs aren't really the greatest, so they beat a team that was worse than them. Should we give the Angels a medal? Probably. If they had Joe Madden on their team, it would have been even funnier, but yeah. But last night, the Angels kicked off a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners at home. They won in very narrow fashion. They won 5-4. I thought they were going to collapse as they kind of needed a comeback to take down the Mariners. And they were actually up 5-3 going into the 9th inning. And they allowed a solo home run. And I was actually concerned. I'm like, oh no, are the Angels going to lose this in Angels fashion? No. As they actually managed to hold on, and that's a rarity. Considering the Mariners were supposed to be pretty decent, especially when they made the playoffs last year. But the Mariners have been so bleh, if you ask me. The Angels are 35-30. They've won 5 in a row, so there's some optimism for you, Angels. My question is, how long can this good fortune last for the Angels? The answer to that, probably not for a whole long. Because after the 3-game series against the Mariners, the Angels have to head down to Dallas-Fort Worth to take on the Texas Rangers in a 4-game series. And the Rangers are one of the best teams in the American League. So enjoy your good fortune against the Mariners, because the Rangers might be using you as a punching bag. And they're going to probably crash you down to earth. And then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Angels will be hitting the road to Patrick Mahomes land, a.k.a. Kansas City, to take on the Royals. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, June 20th and 21st, the Angels will be hosting the Dodgers in the Freeway Series. And I'm already excited for that matchup, even though, well, there's some uncertainty with the Dodgers, which is perfect segue to go into the Dodgers. But before we do, let's close out the Angels by giving a little update on how they're doing in the AL West. They're actually 2 games back of the Houston Astros, who are in second place. The Angels are in third place, and they're 7 games back of the Rangers. So, yeah, you've got a long way to go until you're actually good. Now, if the Angels were in the American League Central, they would actually be leading that division. But they're not. They're the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, not the Central Angels of Anaheim, or the Central Angels, or whatnot. Either way, the Angels are in the American League West, and they're in the middle of the pack. Just be thankful you're not in the American League East. Otherwise, you'd be dead last. All right, now let's jump on over to the Dodgers, as, man, the Dodgers have been rather depressing. So, in the series against the Yankees, they actually lost 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, and I don't get to say, duh, Yankees lose, because the Angels only beat the Yankees 1 time, last Friday when they beat them 8-4. Last Saturday, the Yankees beat them 6-3, and then last Sunday, on national TV, the Yankees beat the Dodgers 4-1. Now, against the Yankees are pretty good, but this series against the Cincinnati Reds, oh boy, I don't know what happened here, but it certainly was not in the Dodgers' favor. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds, who aren't even that great, as they lost the first one 9-8, and despite hitting a grand slam, the Cincinnati Reds actually won off of a walk-off RBI. Yeah, a walk-off single RBI, courtesy of Eli De La Cruz. Great job, Dodgers. Way to not have a closer. Yeah, and that's what Dave Roberts said, that the Dodgers don't have a projected closer. So, remember when Larry said that the Dodgers make him angry just as much as the Angels from last week? They make me angry too. But it gets worse. The the Dodgers actually got walked off by the Cincinnati Reds in the second game as Eli De La Cruz hit his first home run, and he dealt the Dodgers their fourth straight loss in a walk-off 8-6 win on the road. As, man, that's just brutal right there. It was 6-6, and then it was a 2-run home run. So, 2-run home run, bottom of the ninth, and Eli De La Cruz. Bye, Dodgers. That's just straight up sad right there. Fortunately, the Dodgers got their you-know-what together as they shut out the Reds 6-0 as Clayton Kershaw got the win. Thankfully, they have Clayton Kershaw to basically patch everything up. But, man, losing 2 games to the Reds, that's not going to really help you a whole lot. It got worse. On Friday, being yesterday, the Dodgers got walked off again, as they got walked off by the Philadelphia Phillies, thanks to Kyle Schwarber hitting a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth inning, which was a solo home run, and the Dodgers lost 5-4. So, if we're all keeping track here, the Dodgers have been walked off 3 times this past week. OUCH right there, dude. Ouch. All because the Dodgers do not have a designated closer. I don't know about you Dodgers fans, but I would be getting very concerned. Fortunately for the Dodgers, they did patch up a win today. They beat the Phillies 9-0 as they only allowed 6 hits, as that was actually the case when they beat the Reds in that win on Thursday. But overall for the Dodgers, this is kind of concerning. They're only 9 games above 500, which that's not really the Dodger-like, if you ask me. And they're actually now 2.5 games back of the Arizona Diamondbacks in the NL West, which is very mind-boggling, if you ask me. I did not think the Dodgers were going to be this bad. I mean, they're still good, but first of all, hats off to the Diamondbacks for being this good. I mean, the Dodgers are just playing with their food at this point, and they're asking for seconds. The Diamondbacks are eating their food, and they're asking for thirds and fourths and fifths. So for the Dodgers, they really need to get their you-know-what together, otherwise stuff is going to be hitting the fan. So they close out the series against the Phillies in Philadelphia tomorrow at 10:35 a.m. They get Monday off, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the Dodgers will be hosting the Chicago White Sox. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Dodgers will be hosting the San Francisco Giants. They kind of should maybe win those games, just because, for starters, the Giants are actually in back of the Dodgers. And I would say they're gaining ground, but every time the Dodgers lose, you kind of have to wonder, what the heck are the Dodgers doing, dude? And then they also have the Freeway Series against the Angels. And, oh boy, Dodgers fans are going to like this. So on June 23rd, 24th, and 25th, the Dodgers will be hosting the Houston Astros in a 3-game series. And I think all Dodgers fans know how they truly feel about the Astros coming to town. Oh, I already know they're probably still salty about the 2017 World Series. Poor Dusty Baker. What's his name? Dusty Baker? Either way, the Astros, they're kind of not the same roster as they were last year, but they kind of won against the Guardians tonight. Yeah, Dusty Baker is their manager, so poor Dusty Baker, the former Dodgers manager, or the former Dodger player. If Dodger fans should show any sort of respect to the Astros, it's Dusty Baker. He's a class act guy. Everyone else, I don't think we could really respect as an Astros, in terms of the Astros, but it is what it is. All right, now let's jump on over to the Padres, which, I mean, the Padres are still the Padres. They're still trying to get their you-know-what together. against the Chicago Cubs, they actually salvaged a split in the series. Last Friday, they lost 2-1 to the Cubs. On Saturday, they won 6-0. This past Sunday, they lost 7-1. And then on Monday, which very rare to see a 4-game series going from Friday to Monday, the Padres actually looked pretty decent as they beat the Cubs 5-0. And they only allowed 4 hits. And a big shout out to Adam Karnick, who also gets a big W award as, well, for starters, he actually called the Cubs versus Padres game on USRN's Mixler account. And that must have been so painful for Adam. And you have to keep in mind, he does Chi-Town Weekly every Monday. So he went from Chi-Town Weekly from 5 p.m. my time, or 7 p.m. his time, to pretty much 6 p.m. my time, or 8 p.m. his time. And then he only had like a 10 or 15 minute break in between. And then he had to call the Cubs-Padres game, which saw the Padres wind up winning. And that must have been really, really frustrating for Adam to basically have to see his team just getting I wouldn't say decimated, but getting exposed and not winning 3 out of 4, but instead splitting against the Padres. A struggling Padres team. Or as Larry calls them, a confusing Padres team. So, Larry says Dodgers make us happy. Well, yes and no. No, because they don't have a designated closer in terms of their pitching. Yes, because they're the best team of the 3 SoCal teams. But for the Dodgers, they still have to get their you-know-what together. Otherwise, this could be a little bit of a short end of the stick season for the Dodgers. So, in the middle of the week, the Padres split the series against the Seattle Mariners. It was a 2-game series against the Mariners. They lost the first game 4-1 at Petco Park, and then they won the second game by a football score of 10-3. Then on Friday, the Padres started a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies. They won the first game 9-6. Go figure. The Padres beat the Rockies 9-6 on June 9th. Nice. Ahem. But today, the Padres beat the Colorado Rockies 3-2, and this was actually played in Colorado. So, good job to the Padres. They're actually getting their you-know-what together. They close out the series tomorrow in Colorado, but let's be honest, the Rockies are the black sheep of the NL West. After the matchup against the Rockies, the Padres will have Monday off, as they'll head home back to San Diego to take on the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Padres will host the Tampa Bay Rays. And man, that's going to be 2 tough matchups right there. The Guardians are not good, but they're trying to be good in terms of their division because their entire division is bad. Meanwhile, the Rays are very, 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 very good. So if there's any ground the Padres need to make up for in terms of their previous losses prior to now, I think this is the time. They have to basically beat Cleveland and they have to beat Colorado one more time before they take on Tampa Bay. Because after that, they've got a 4-game series against San Francisco, and then they've got a 3-game series against Washington, which Washington is not good. San Francisco is meh at best. And then they've got Pittsburgh, which is improved, and then they've got Cincinnati to close out the month of June, transitioning into July. So for the Padres, my thing is that they're just so loaded with talent. They should be so much better than what their record is, but sadly, they're not meshing well with one another. So for the Padres, if they can get it together, if their players can get on track, they might actually have a chance. But let's not all hold our breaths here. But we'll see. I don't think we all need to quit on the Padres right away. I mean, they're not Oakland A's bad, but yeah, they suck. Yeah, they should. Yeah, Larry said it best. The Padres should be good, but they suck. And Larry puts that we miss Jansen as referring to the Dodgers miss Kenley Jansen. And yeah, great job, Dodgers fans. Way to run Kenley Jansen out of town and have him have more success in terms of going elsewhere. But it is what it is. All right, but that is going to do it for the MLB portion of the show. Just to make a long story short, this is frustrating for everybody. So before we close out the show, we have to go over the Dum Dum of the Week award. So the Dum Dum of the Week goes out to a person or organization that does or says something dumb. Basically, no one is safe from this award. Anyone can get this award, and I am not going to hold back, even though there is a limit to who I want to give this award out to. I actually have 4 people I want to give this. I actually have to give this award out to 4 different people, and yeah, 4 people are getting Dum Dum of the Week, and they're all main Dum Dums of the Week. And let's start off with myself. So, unfortunately for me, I decided to be Mr. Procrastinator and not update the description of the previous show, and that was not good on my part. Just because I got the 2 MLS games mixed up in terms of the Galaxy's match against Real Salt Lake. Instead of saying the Galaxy beat Real Salt Lake in MLS play, I put that they beat Real Salt Lake in the U.S. Open Cup, which was not the case. So, big oops right there on my part. So, that's just part 1 of me messing up in terms of my not-so-brightness. But it gets worse. So, yesterday, I needed body wash just because I don't think anyone wants to see me smelling like a used gym sock. So, I actually go to the store, and because I want to be a guy that wants to buy stuff on a budget, I actually go to the discount rack thinking that I'm buying discounted body wash. Nope, that is not the case, just because I actually bought Head & Shoulders. Now, at the time, I saw 2-in-1, and I'm thinking, oh, 2-in-1. Hair and body. Nope! Head & Shoulders does not do... At the time I was reading that, I was thinking it was a Head & Shoulders 2-in-1 in terms of like hair and body, but it's actually shampoo and conditioner. I think you all know where I'm going with this. I messed up because I thought that Head & Shoulders was basically a body wash and a hair like conditioner and hair shampoo thingy. But yeah, I bought myself an extra shampoo / conditioner for my hair. At least there's a positive in that, but I had to make another trip as I had to use the backup body wash from my mom's shower, which she being the nice person that she is, she did not mind, and I eventually bought my own. Today I bought my own, and now we have no problem. So, yeah, I really am kicking myself for thinking that the Head & Shoulders was clearly a body wash and hair conditioner, but that is not the case. So, for my incompetence for basically, unfortunately, first of all, not updating my description. Oh, and we also can't forget, I didn't predict a Galaxy win. I thought the Galaxy were going to beat Real Salt Lake. Little did I know that this is the Galaxy of this year, not last year. The Galaxy stink, even though they just fired Chris Klein. So, because of my striking out in terms of not once, but twice, but 3 times, I'm this week's Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 1. You know what to do, my guy.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Yeah. Long story short, try to read a little bit more carefully in terms of buying stuff. I mean, the good thing is, it looks like I won't need shampoo for a while, but that's still a blunder on my part. Wah, wah. Alright, so that's Dum Dum of the Week number 1 out of the way. Now for Dum Dum of the Week number 2. Alright, so when it comes to people and their jobs, obviously doing their jobs is so important. For this young reporter, Samantha Rivera, she actually had the honor of covering the Florida Panthers Las Vegas Golden Knights game. This was game 2 in Las Vegas. Now, unfortunately, she had the case of a rowdy Vegas fan basically wanting to get on camera. And bless her heart, she did her job to the best of her ability. And unfortunately, the fan really wanted to get on camera. But to Samantha Rivera's credit, she actually stiff-armed him to make sure that the fan did not get on camera. And to even more of her credit, she actually did not take her eyes off the camera, and she did her job. So, to Samantha Rivera, she did her job, and she made sure the fan did not get on camera to the best of her ability. And man, she had quite the stiff arm. She had a stiff arm so amazing that she would make Derrick Henry proud. But to this Vegas Golden Knights fan, first of all, why are you acting a fool? Second of all, let her do her job. Third, why do you gotta do this to this? Why do you gotta do this to people trying to put in that work? And fourth, all of the above. She even said in a tweet, listen, I don't give a damn, excuse my French, I don't give a damn what team you're rooting for. Get the hell, excuse my French again, out of my face when I'm working, and respect that I'm here to do my job. Excited to get back home to some classy Panthers fans in Game 3. Now, that last part was kind of a backhanded statement. I mean, there are some fans that are messed up who obviously say some messed up things. Which, I mean, there are some fans that are also really chill, and then there are the fans that make you really wonder, why is this fan a part of this fan base? And they're giving this fan base a very, 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 very bad name. So, to this Vegas Golden Knights fan who tried to video bombard Samantha Rivera, you are a bad person and you're kind of humiliating yourself. To Samantha Rivera, you are getting the Big W award from the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And to the Vegas Golden Knights fan who tried to get on camera while disrupting Samantha Rivera, you are this week's Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 2.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Alright, so that is Dum Dum of the Week number 2. Now for Dum Dum of the Week number 3. And this one also boggled my mind. So, this one obviously also doesn't come in my area, but the fact that people can say things, whatever they want, it makes me so mind blown. So this actually was on our Dallas, Texas show, the Heart of Texas Sports, with It's Drewski, as he actually brought this up on a show, as he mentioned, someone said that is Dirk Nowitzki overrated or something like that. It's like, what? Yeah, we're getting 4 Dumb of the Weeks, if not 3. If not, I'll just leave it at 3, just because, yeah, people are really not, making it tough on me to basically, or they're making it tough on me to basically hold back on this. But, yeah, someone said Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated and whatnot, and I just could not believe this. It's like, what? Now, I know people have their beliefs and whatnot. I understand people can say what they want to say for, like, clicks and listens and to stir the pot and whatnot, but this is ridiculous. And I gotta give it up to It's Drewski for bringing this up on his show. First of all, Dirk Nowitzki is a fantastic player, or was a fantastic player. He was the reason why the Dallas Mavericks were actually relevant. If it weren't for him, the Dallas Mavericks would not have any NBA championships. I can't believe it. I cannot believe what I heard. Like, someone said that Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated. I don't know who said it, but whoever it was, I cannot. If I find you, I swear I will not hold back. And you really gotta. And one thing that does not make Dirk Nowitzki's career overrated is because he stayed with one team. He did not go ring chasing like Kevin Durant or LeBron. Yeah, so apparently Chris Broussard also said that Dirk Nowitzki is overrated, but he just said Dirk Nowitzki himself is overrated. But I just don't understand why people are saying that Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated. It just does not make any sense. Nowitzki was a fantastic player. And I still remember 2011 when the Lakers got swept by the Mavericks. And, it was a horrible season. That kind of was basically the straw that broke the Lakers' camel's back. As that basically broke up Phil Jackson, and then it just basically was a downward spiral. So technically, Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs were the ones that caused everything to go down the toilet for the Lakers in pretty much the last of Kobe's few years. But I just can't believe someone would say Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated. It just does not make sense. And I'm not even a Lakers fan. Nowitzki was a fantastic player. To you people that are saying Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated or Dirk Nowitzki was overrated, please stop. Please just do yourself a favor and do better. Like, it just does not make any sense. And if you're still saying that Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated, please just find yourself a new profession. Please just find a new hobby. You're making a fool of yourself, and more importantly, you're just not making any sense. And I want a 1,000-word essay on why you think Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated. It was not overrated. It was a fantastic career. He led the Dallas Mavericks to a championship. Now, if he didn't lead them to a championship, I understand. But man, this is just unbelievable. So, to Chris Broussard and everyone else who keeps on saying that Dirk Nowitzki's career was overrated or Dirk Nowitzki himself was overrated, you are this week's Dumb Dumb of the Week Award, number 3.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And I kind of want to stop there before I lose my sanity, as the dumbness is really starting to just. Larry is just straight up enjoying this right there, here and now. Oh, one more thing, I forgot to talk about the Sparks. They blew a 21-point lead to the Seattle Storm. As well, I basically said it best. They can't afford to underestimate the Storm as well. But I also want to give Dave Roberts the Dum Dum of the Week, who does not have a designated closer, and who's really concerning me. So I'll play the sound effect one more time. But Dave Roberts, you're kind of the last minute Dum Dum of the Week. I probably won't have this again, a last minute Dum Dum of the Week award again. But yeah, you kind of got to take it.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
But on a positive note, and let's end this on a positive note, the Sparks did beat the Chicago Sky yesterday, 77-65, as that made me smile quite a bit, especially since the Sky did have a 5-3 record going in. So Sparks did something good, and I'm still just perplexed that the Sparks blew a 21-point lead to the then winless Seattle Storm. You just can't do that, dude. So anyway, the Sparks are back in action tomorrow on the road in the Great Lakes of Minnesota against the Lynx in a Commissioner's Cup game. Then on Wednesday, the Sparks travel to DFW to take on the Dallas Wings. Then next Friday, the Sparks will host the Minnesota Lynx in another Commissioner's Cup game. And then the Sparks take a break from Commissioner's Cup play when they host the Connecticut Sun. So there's some positivity in terms of the Sparks. Let's end this show off with a little positivity. The Sparks beat the Sky by a good chunk, by 15 points. And man, it was a great win. I think that was quite the impressive win, as Nneka Ogwumike had 19 points. They put on for their home crowd at the Crypto.com arena. And Anthony Davis was also there as well with his daughter. You love to see it. In addition, Jordan Canada had 16 points, along with Derica Hammy, who had 16 points as well. And then that was pretty much it. Carly Samuelson had 7 points off the bench. And then Lexi Brown had 7 points. So there was that right there. And even though the Sparks did not have the best shooting night, they shot actually worse than the Chicago Sky. They actually got the win. It's rather surprising that the Sparks shot a worse percentage than the Sky, but they still won. They did out-rebound them, which was key. That was good right there. That was some good stuff. But, man, good job to the Sparks, though. Won by 15, yet they shot under 40%, and they only made 3 threes. They did go to the charity stripe, aka the free throw line, 22 times, and they made 18 free throws, which is good. And they had 6 less turnovers than Chicago, so that's also good as well. So, all in all, for the Sparks, it was a very good win. So, that's what we're going to end on, the positive note right there. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for me to get on out of here, because I got to get my grub on, because it is dinner time. You dig? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to the chat room, Larry B and Mike Pat, for joining in. I really do appreciate you. I promise you all that this Friday at noon, I will be back at my regular time, and I will be doing the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So if you're listening at noon Pacific time on Friday, I will be there, and I'll be doing the show. There you have it. So thank you, Larry B. He said, great show. I really do appreciate you listening in throughout the entire show. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the SoCal sports action, even though some of them have been a little meh at the moment. But like I said, don't do anything that you feel uncomfortable, that you don't feel comfortable doing. I will see you all Monday for Set Point. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Be safe, be happy, be well, and I will see you Monday for Set Point. Enjoy the weekend, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!